What's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome to From the Forum, your Friday night question and answer show. We're here for the party. We're here for the late night coffee, and we're going to have a good time tonight. How's everybody doing in the house?
Oh man, it's been a long day. Definitely been a long day. Thursdays are a marathon. Then you get to go do that fun four-letter word that we all love, work, and then come back and do more work, hang out with everybody else. So it's a good day, man. It's Friday at least, right?
Pretty tough day.
Do it again tomorrow.
Go ahead, Zach.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, same thing. Yesterday I worked. I left my house at 8 a.m. and got back at 10. And then tonight, same thing. Left the house at 8, got back at 8. So ready to do this show, and then get on the bed and redo it again tomorrow.
Yes. Do it all again tomorrow.
I'm the retired one that leaves his house only to walk the dog. But today I got some bad news. One of the original gangsters in fantasy football, Jim Day, the Fantasy Taz, has announced that, well, he wanted to thank everybody who's dealt with him because fantasy football's brought a lot of joy to his life, but he has stage 4 cancer. He has a month or two to live, and he wanted to thank everybody, and I posted his email. But if you know Jim, if you've ever dealt with Jim, send him a note, Fantasy Taz, Taz, at gmail.com. Just send him a note with a remembrance, something you remember of him. I would love to see his mailbox just filled to the brim, so full that he can't get to them all, because I know that'll make him smile. And the dude is a good dude. And also, I got news. My team is cheating to win. But if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
It's true.
I totally agree with that. It's just the Belichick style, right? Like, they're all doing it. It's just they got caught. And exactly. I don't know if we'll see a better job of a coach insulating himself from blame as what John Harbaugh has done in this situation. He's like,
John Harbaugh hasn't done anything. Mm-hmm. John Harbaugh's in Baltimore.
You're right.
Jim Harbaugh is the Michigan coach.
You're right.
Little brother.
Little younger brother. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Oh God, I'm so disappointed. I really am. They're such a good team. They don't need to cheat this year. They're really talented.
Yeah, they're really good. That's for sure. Hey, so we got Albert in the house. What's up, Albert? Thanks for tuning in. We love having Albert on the show. Always some good questions dropping in. We got Facebook user with the fire. We love when Facebook user shows up. We don't know who Facebook user is, but we like it.
Yep.
So we're gonna get into it tonight. We're gonna dive into some questions. We're gonna dive into some good ones. This show is put on by fantasyfootballadvice.com. You can go there, join. It's free to join. We do have pro membership levels, but it's a great place to hang out. Great place to chat back and forth, ask your questions like you're gonna do in this show. And on this show, we kind of dive into some of the questions from the network at the same time as answer your questions live. So look forward to tonight. Got JC, got Greg, got Zach in the house. We're going to kick this thing off with a question over from fantasyfootballadvice.com. We're actually going to hit two that have kind of the same, ideas behind them, and it's like rest of season calls. So I'm going to bring it up, and here we go. We got Joe and Tyler hitting us back to back with some rough-ins. Okay, so first, preparing to troll the bye week players available and prepare for future weeks. So the top two waiver claims that he could go after is Spears and Hubbard. Which is a better play for a roster / bench to get? So, basically some people had to drop some players, and out there that he can get pretty easily is Tajay Spears and Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah.
Say what?
Go get Tajay immediately, man. I gotta have him on my.
Really, it's a question of floor versus ceiling. There's a lot of rumors that Derrick Henry is going to be traded before the deadline on Tuesday. If Henry is traded, there's no question you want Spears for floor and ceiling. Spears has already been in all but one game over 50% usage, and he's getting more and more as the season goes on. I think Tennessee trusts him. I also think that if Tannehill doesn't play, that's a net positive for Tyjae Spears, especially if it's Will Levis at quarterback. Now, we know Malik Willis is going to run the ball a lot, but he can't throw, so he can't sustain drives. We don't know what Will Levis can do, but he was the fourth quarterback drafted this year, and the other three have done reasonably well so far. So why not give the kid a shot? I don't know, Zach. What do you think?
No, I think I agree. I think you go with Tajay. Just the intrigue is there. Like you said, when he's on the field, he kind of pops, right? Like I feel like we know what we're getting with Hubbard. It's ceiling versus floor is a great way to say that because Hubbard's a floor player, right? Like you're not getting. I mean, you probably aren't getting league winning weeks, but you might be able to plug him in the flex. Tajay has that points, Yeah, Tajay has that like excitement around it. Not to mention if and I know the trade rumors are cooling a little, but if they deal Henry, like, dude, you're talking about RB1 workload. I mean, he's the guy. So I go Tajay. I think it's not even close. I would assume if the dude is still available in your league, it's probably like an 8-man league. You know, like
well, if this is a 12-man league, why not get both of them?
Yeah, stash both.
Yeah. So Fantasy Fish dropping in saying hi. I say that, I mean, I'm with the Derrick Henry rumors so prevalent, right? Like so out there. The high flyer risk on Tajay just as a, what if is huge. But even like you said, Greg, with Henry there, Tajay is still getting a good snap percentage. And Tajay is, yeah, he's a big, I mean, it's big play, boom, all of a sudden you could have that at any time. And I mean, Tajay is consistently in there on passing downs and third down situations. And so it's kind of like a Jalen Warren Najee thing. You know what I mean? Like it's that kind of upside, which makes you lean Spears.
Except Tajay's been better than Warren. Quite a bit better than Warren.
Than Najee. Sure. Yeah, like
and for those that think these rumors are just rumors, two teams have been tied to the rumors. Both the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens have reportedly sent feelers out to Tennessee to acquire him.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big deal. It could be a huge trade. It could be a big trade for NFL purposes. Like we could see a dynamic shift with a guy like Derrick Henry going to one of these real
Buffalo. Can you imagine with Josh Allen?
Oh gosh. I mean, Latavius Murray is somebody rosterable in Buffalo. Imagine if Derrick Henry is there.
Well, it kills my James Cook ownership. That's what it does.
Well, I didn't take any James Cook ownership. The one league I had James Cook in, I dished him for Javonte, knowing that I may not get the production I wanted this year, but it will come next year. History says the year after a big knee injury, it's a little bit of a ramp up, but we're seeing it. I think we're seeing it. So it was a good trade that I wanted to do. Okay, we're going to go back to his second question, which to me, this is the doozy. And this is what people are, are really struggling with, especially with the emergence of Gardner Minshew starting quarterback in Indianapolis. I mean, they're letting him throw the ball. He's airing it out, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns last week. Like, I mean, the stash is trying to make a statement, and the stash wants a team. He wants a start and roll to quarterback a team and show what he can do. And, I would love for that to happen, even if it's just because Gardner was the last like really great quarterback that for those who followed college football, that the Pirate got to coach. And rest in peace, my friend. Great coach.
Oh, yeah.
Air raid offense, But we won't get too far down that road. We'll be between all the bad news coming, Wendy. Oh my goodness, the gang is all here. That's right, Wendy. We are here. We're glad that you're here with us. I'm sure.
Welcome back from vacation.
Yeah. I'm sure you don't need us for your start and sit questions because you are elite level fantasy football player. But
she is a game changer.
I know. We love Wendy. Okay, so we're gonna hit this next question from him. I kind of alluded to. So prepping for week 8, he said choice between Rashee Rice and Josh Downs. He mentions, I know Rashee Rice is thought as lead versus Denver, but will Mecole start cutting into targets? They did bring Mecole back in. Mecole got usage even in his first week back. With Josh Downs going versus New Orleans and being wide receiver 2, is this the better play for this week? And I would even say, what do you guys think rest of season? Who wants to kick it off on that one?
I'll be happy to. Since the very first game that Josh Downs played with Minshew at quarterback, he got 12 targets. Now, he hasn't got double digits since, but he has gotten 7-8 targets a game. So he's getting used by Minshew. And frankly, I believe Minshew is a much better quarterback for this team than AR-15, Richardson. AR-5 now, I guess, because he changed his number. But that said, I love Rashee Rice. It's just that Mahomes only throws consistently to one player.
That's Kelsey.
If the only player getting the ball is Kelsey, you just can't depend on Rice. I think Rice has the talent to be a superstar. I really do. But until he gets the workload,
I don't know.
This week,
the workload is kind of there. The workload is kind of there. So week 1, 5 targets. Week 2, 2 targets. Week 3, 7 targets. Week 4, 5 targets. Week 5, 5 targets. Week 6, 4 targets. Week 7, 6 targets. So he's still the second highest probably targeted receiver on the team.
Yeah, but 6 targets isn't getting it done. Look at his receptions. 3, 4, 4, 5 the last 4 weeks. Give me Josh Downs. He's producing.
I agree with that. I think though that he does get a good Rice does get a good matchup this week. He does get Denver,
and that's kind of my thing on that. So if it's a 1-week stream, you're probably you got good options, which is nice. Like you're in pretty good shape there. But for me, DJ Moore served me well in that Denver get right game, and I would hope Rashee would. He's coming off of a good game, so I hope he builds on that rather than assuming that Mecole takes. I don't know. I do feel like Josh Downs is the safer play, but Rashee feels like he's right there on the cusp of something. So maybe we look at it, we go is Taylor Swift going to be there? Because if she's not, we go Rashee Rice, right? Travis Kelce's not going to be good. But if she's there, I'm going Josh Downs.
I think Kelce was pretty good before he got involved with Taylor. So I don't know. Rashee Rice's best performance in my league thus far is wide receiver 14. And that was last week.
Yeah,
he needs to score a touchdown to be very good. Josh Downs gets the catches and the yards. Even if he doesn't score, I think he outdoes Rashee Rice. I do like the Denver matchup. I agree with that. But I would never, at this stage in his career, even attempt to compare Rashee Rice to DJ Moore. Just not fair to the kid.
Yeah, I think
I just compared them to that with just comparing them to that with that Denver matchup,
Yeah.
And I'll give him the leg up on the comparison because at least he gets Patrick Mahomes.
I don't know. In Chicago, you got Justin Fields.
No, you don't. No, you don't have Justin Fields.
No, you actually don't. But
you got
Tyler
the Shepard
Bagent
product, okay?
Tyler Bagent actually looked pretty damn good for an undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
was
no.
impressed by Bajan. I really was.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that were going, "Oh, are we getting?" They're like checking their arms for the chill bumps, and they're like, "Are we getting Purdy vibes like on this?"
I don't think so. I think when the quarterback comes back, when Fields is back, it's his job.
Oh yeah, for sure. I would say I agree on the Josh Downs because Mahomes, it feels like if you're not Kelsey, right? Like Mahomes and wide receivers in Kansas City and JC's dog in the background freaking out. But no, the wide receivers in Kansas, you never know whose day it's gonna be. And if it's gonna be any wide receivers day, where Minshew is pretty much hyper target running back, Josh Downs, and hit Pittman for a couple long ones. That's how that tends to roll. So I really like the target share. I really like how often Minshew looks at Downs. I would say, I don't know if you watch Minshew's time holding the ball. He is so quick getting that ball out. A guy like Josh Downs that's quick on the break, that's going to create a little bit of separation, is going to get more opportunities with that.
And you mentioned another very good point. Michael Pittman is going to, if the defensive cornerback switches sides, follows the best receiver. Now, not all of them do, but if he does, he's going to follow Pittman. Pittman's the bigger name. He's the bigger threat. He's the downfield threat. So if the defense is going to try to target Pittman to stop. Whereas
Downs is actually one of my force players this week. I think that Downs has a decent matchup. I think Lattimore will probably play more with
Pittman.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we're gonna go back over to the network. We had a ton of questions this week. Back over to the network. This was an interesting one too, I thought. So regular league, no PPR, rest of season. Should I keep Brian Robinson Jr. or Javonte Williams?
I haven't looked at Williams' schedule, but Brian Robinson has a terrible schedule upcoming. And and I'm depending on him in one league, but if you're counting on Brian Robinson to have big games, just look at Washington's schedule against the run defenses and then compare it to Javonte. Right now, I would go for Javonte, but I haven't looked at Williams' schedule yet.
So he's got Kansas City this week, and then he's got a bye. Then they got a bye week. Then they get Buffalo. Then they get Minnesota.
That's a good one.
And then they get Cleveland. And then they get the Texans, the Chargers, Detroit, New England, the Chargers.
So he's got a mixed schedule. Some easy, some hard.
So let's play a little bit of devil's advocate. Brian Robinson has some tough schedule ahead. Brian Robinson on the year right now, having played Buffalo, at Philly, at Atlanta, several not just pushover defenses as it stands, is currently sitting at running back 13. Yep. Javonte is running back 34.
Yeah, but you mentioned it. Javonte is looking better the further he gets from the injury.
He's coming up for sure.
I think last week was his best usage, wasn't it? I'll check. I'm not sure, but I think it was.
I actually have Brian Robinson as one of my farce players this week. I think that he has a tough matchup this week. I think that I'm on the Javonte side here. I think that he's actually looked really, really good these last couple weeks when he's gotten the opportunity. It might not show extremely, out there on paper, but it looked, if you're watching film, he looked really good.
Yeah, I will say
this last week was the first week that he had over 50% of snaps. He got 53% of the snaps. I don't have the carry percentage, but he got 15 carries and 82 yards. So good yards per carry.
Yeah, 5. Yeah.
Again,
But-
if it's floor ceiling, the floor is Brian Williams. The ceiling is probably Javonte.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Javonte
I mean, if
Robinson.
you take out with Robinson, if you take out his touchdown last week, I mean, he's completely irrelevant. I mean, he's you're talking about a guy that you would drop based on score. He's 0 involvement in the passing game, only 8 carries in that game. You know, he started out hot, but he's cooled down a lot. And like you said, at least in the next week, you know, he's got to play that Philadelphia team where they're clearly outclassed, and he gets Jalen Carter all day. So no, let's go Javonte.
You know what's crazy? Just like a complete sidestep. Like you said, you know, not really relevant in the passing game. When Brian Robinson gets touches in the passing game, week 2 versus Denver, 2 receptions, 42 yards. Week 1 versus Arizona, 1 reception for 7 yards, but a touchdown. Week 4 was subpar. Week 5 against Chicago, 4 receptions, 33 on 4 targets, 33 yards. Atlanta, 2 receptions on 2 targets, 25 yards and a touchdown. When they do throw him the ball,
he's successful.
despite what we think, he seems to be effective. So is this like another Commanders thing where it's like, hey, what are you doing, you know, with your team?
It's a young quarterback thing.
Yeah.
Steve Howe, it's the young quarterback thing.
Read his yards per carry the last 4 weeks, though.
Yeah. You said he's already played Denver.
3.1, 2.5. Like, oof.
Tyler, you said he's already played Denver. How many fantasy points? Not Denver, Philly. How many fantasy points did he against Philly the last time?
So against Philly, he had 12 points. He had
and that's RB
rushes for 45 yards and a touchdown.
15, 16, depending on your league. 15, 16, 17, probably around there.
So are you expecting more or less this week?
They're at home.
This week, I don't know. That Washington offense is crazy. In what trying to predict what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
No, I think that they're close. I do like Javon. I think Javonte's the ceiling. I've been impressed with at least what Brian Robinson has been able to do. I mean, we're looking at a guy that has what 6 touchdowns on the season already in 7 games. Like, we don't really have that from a lot of running backs. You know, RB13, he's definitely relevant, and he's not like he plays for just like an incredible team, you know?
No, that's true. And when we talk about Javonte coming off the knee injury, let's remember Brian Robinson was shot in the ass last year. I mean, he was. That is a life-changing experience.
Yeah, he was shot twice.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So we're going to pop over to another Williams question. And this is interesting for me because we haven't seen the production that we wanted to see off the cuff yet. But Domham says, drop Jameson Williams for Gus Edwards, or do you hang on to Jameson Williams? He does need a running back, and it is a redraft league.
So what happens if you drop Jameson Williams and then you pick up Gus Edwards and then they trade for Derrick Henry?
Well, yeah, because the Ravens have been nothing.
One of those
then you dropped a receiver and picked up somebody who probably won't have any more work.
if you think Jameson Williams has trade value, okay, go get a different running back. Go get one of the guys that we're talking about. Go get Javonte. Go get, I wouldn't get Cook because, frankly, we don't know what Cook's going to be doing next week. He may be behind Derrick Henry. But I wouldn't go after Gus Edwards as long as there's rumors about Henry going there. I mean, I'll tell you somebody you might want to trade for, Devin Singletary. He's getting more and more of the workload in Houston. Houston is a pretty decent offense. And it's not that Dameon Pierce is out of favor in Houston. It's just that he's been ineffective. And Singletary's been very effective. So even the coaches are talking about Singletary getting a bigger role. So, if you're going to trade Jameson has a very low floor. And that was seen. Against Baltimore, 0 catches, 6 targets. What does that tell you? Detroit's trying to get him the ball, but they were unable to last week. Jameson is the type of player that on any given play he can score. He's already shown that multiple times. But he's also the type of player that he's a 19-year-old kid. I mean, he's a young kid. I think he's 19. He might be 20, but he's a young kid. And he's got all kinds of speed. He's got talent, but he hasn't played enough games yet to really know the game. I'm a Detroit fan. And if I could get a Javonte Williams or even a Devin Singletary, and I needed a running back, I would give up Williams for that in a heartbeat.
What about a Tajay Spears?
Oh, if I could get Tajay Spears, it'd be done deal already.
Mm-hmm. So you would send Jameson Williams for Tajay?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I would never give up Tajay for Jameson. But if you got an owner in your league that's just tired of him only getting part-time work, I'd do that. I would not go after Jaylen Warren for Jameson, because I just don't think Warren's good. I think Pittsburgh still likes Najee despite Najee's struggles.
Yeah, they want to give Najee work. We talked about this what was it, last night? With the committee backs, your running backs that are rhythm carriers, right? That need touches to get going. They're reducing in value and reducing in performance because they're not getting that. They're not able to get several of those touches in a row and find their groove, and it's really hurting them. And so, Najee almost feels like that. Like he's got to get, like, the more touches, the better he gets. Derrick Henry's like that. The more touches, the better he gets. And we're just not seeing that. Like, I think if you look at Derrick Henry, you're like, why hasn't he been as effective this year? Well, he's only getting 50% of the touches or less, With
Najee, if you think back 2 years ago, he was a top 10 back. And what changed? Quarterback changed. You went from Roethlisberger, who could not throw the ball downfield, so checked off to Najee. I think Najee had like 40 receptions as a rookie. To Kenny Pickett, who wouldn't look at Najee. He could barely get a catch. I think if Pickett starts throwing to Najee a little bit more, that's part of the process you're talking about, Tyler, where they get in a rhythm. It's not so much it has to be a carry, it's got to be a touch. He's got to get hit. And I think Najee's every bit as good a back as he was 2 years ago. He's just not getting the workload that he got 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so we're going to move forward. We get some questions in the chat. Ray Gamer's popping in. This is kind of a long one. He says, should I play Brandon Aubrey versus the Rams? This is, a kicker question. We don't get those very often.
I'm playing Hopkins.
I think this is great, though, because I stream kickers.
Yeah.
Hopkins has been a killer option.
Or Hopkins versus Seahawks on the road. And do you think the Eagles D will do way better this time versus the Commanders, unlike last time they played them? So we'll start with the kicker side of that. Aubrey or Hopkins?
Aubrey for me.
Yeah, so usually I would go like the guy who's got the indoor kicking conditions, and Aubrey's kicking in a dome. But Dustin Hopkins is the number 2 kicker of fantasy football. And he's on waivers for a lot of teams. I mean, he's got like a relative. He's only rostered in 57% of leagues in sleeper, and he's the number 2 kicker, right? And so I don't know, man. I kind of go with the hot hand, right? Like I think I go Hopkins on that one, just from points alone.
Aren't you concerned about the defense?
No.
Tennessee's going to be starting Levis. Are they going to be able to move the ball enough for Hopkins to get kicks? That's my concern. Is Seattle's a pretty good defense? Is Hopkins going to actually get a chance to kick the ball?
Hopkins will get the kick.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going Aubrey. I think you'll have more opportunities for field goals.
And he is indoor. Like I said, I do like the matchup either way. Like if those are your 2 streaming options, you've got worse ones. for sure.
Hopkins does not play for Tennessee.
Oh, Cleveland. Sorry.
He's
So that's the
thinking
reason
he was thinking of
DeAndre.
DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins. There's a lot of similar last names. We got you, Greg. We knew what you were saying.
Thank you.
I like Dustin Hopkins. I play Dustin Hopkins. I like Aubrey. I liked him at the beginning of the year, but what the opportunity? The reason I like it is because they don't have Derek. They don't have Chubb anymore, right? So they're not. They don't get to the end zone or they're even the red zone as much anymore. Like they get to enough to where like Hopkins is kicking like 50-yarders, like a bunch of them, dude. Like he's kicking so many points. Like I'm just like I'm riding the wave. I mean, Aubrey was the guy who I was riding after week 1. I was like, I'm gonna ride this guy, but now it's like the Hopkins train. Like he's just like
the difference in scoring between the two is
22 points last week. He's one of the
but the difference in scoring for the year between the two is 11 points.
Yeah.
So they're essentially
yeah. Still, I will say 2
number
points.
2, number 10.
Look, I love
1, 2,
the
3,
kicker
4,
combo.
5, 6, 7.
I love the kicker combo. I love the battle of the kickers. I think either one of them are good plays. Either one of them are probably good streaming options. We know Dak is struggling to get it done. We know Cleveland, PJ Walker's not going to get it done. Deshaun Watson's not going to get it done. So they're going to have kicking opportunities. And that defense is going to keep them surprisingly probably in position at the beginning of drives to go ahead and get a field goal. So, maybe I lean – I would say Seahawks will probably be more effective against Cleveland, but
350-yarders last week for Hopkins. 350 plus yarders.
He used them all up, JC. He used them all up.
He's used them all up. He's had 7 in consecutive weeks. He's had 1 a week and then 3 last week. He's heating up.
Let's talk again on Monday, guys. Let's talk.
Yeah, everybody that's watching that's in no kicker leagues is like, what the hell's going on? Okay, so we got Eagles defense way better this time against the Commanders. Unlike last time, do you think they perform better?
I don't know, man. I think that's I don't know if I'm playing Eagles this week for defense.
So I would play them. I like the pass rush.
Yeah, divisionally it's tough, right? Like they see each other a ton of times, but the Washington game was their worst. Was Philadelphia's defense worst outing this year. But I have to assume that they learned from that, right? Like they just held Miami to 11 fantasy points or 10 fantasy points. So like coming off of it, Washington is not better than Miami on offense. So
they gave up 31 points to Washington the first game. And I really expect that to happen again? I don't.
Since then, they've only allowed since then it's 14, 20, and 11 against the Rams, the Jets, and then Miami. So
man,
I'm hoping for a better set this time.
If you can hold Miami to not that many points, then you can hold the freaking Commanders to not that many points.
I stream both defenses and kickers, and if I had Philly, I wouldn't be streaming defenses.
What about the Falcons this week? They're a streamer this week against
I grabbed them this week. Yeah,
I like Falcons
this week. He's be throwing the Mayo balls all night.
So last part of his long form question. Lastly, should I play DK versus the Browns, Kareem Hunt versus the Seahawks? If Ford is out, or Christian Watson versus the Vikings, or Josh Downs versus the Saints for my flex. Man, so Metcalf, Hunt, Watson, Downs. Who?
Well, for me, in order, but remember, DK may be hurt, may not be playing, but it would be DK, Downs, and then probably Hunt over Watson, because Watson's all promised no delivery so far this year. And Hunt will probably get the start this week. And the bulk of the carries, but I can't even say that he'll get the bulk of the carries because he didn't last week.
Pierre Strong.
Pierre Strong came on strong.
Yeah,
I like how you did that, Jake.
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty good. I think DK, Josh Downs, then it's ticky tacky because the bottom two aren't great matchups either. I'd probably flip Watson, hoping we start that 7 touchdown run for the year, but. But that's
I would probably try to get both DK and Metcalf into my lineup. I mean DK and Downs. Sorry, DK and Metcalf. Yeah, I'm gonna get.
I would actually. I don't like DK versus the Browns. I would move Downs above DK, which I may get put on a chopping block for, but I like that. I like that better personally. And DK coming back when he's not healthy, he doesn't typically perform as well. He runs soft routes. He doesn't push as much.
Are the Browns that good against the pass? I know they're good against the run.
Yeah, the Browns are probably I don't know if they're one of the top defenses in the league.
Yeah.
Well, I know they're against the run, but are they against the pass?
Jake Bobo, let's
give me
go.
Some Bobo. Give me some
Bobo. I like Jake Bobo. That's funny. All right. Let's see. I was surprised he actually, he did. Everybody was looking for JSN week, and it was Bobo week.
Dude,
but JSN had a good week too.
But he didn't have Bobo's week.
He didn't have a catch like Bobo either. That catch in the end zone, man.
All right, so we got Corey popping in, T-Law or CJ Stroud this week, and I am interested in this. What do you think, JC?
I'm gonna look up the T-Law stuff, but I'm all about Stroud, man. He's been throwing over 300 yards almost a game. Like that's the opportunity there is alone for touchdowns. Yeah, I think he gets Tank Dell back this week as well. He's been practicing. I mean, I might be on the Stroud train this week. I had a question. I gotta love his matchup. Would you keep Stroud or Burrow was a question that I heard earlier. I was like, man, that's tough. I was like, I don't know if I'm drafting Burrow though. I mean, I don't want somebody to pick him up and play him against me, but I think I like Stroud. It's crazy to say, but man,
Lawrence has Pittsburgh. Do you think that's are they that much better of a defense
than Carolina? Yes.
No. Is it Carolina or Chicago that they play?
Carolina.
I'm showing Carolina.
Yeah, they get Carolina. Yeah, I think it's tough. And it's crazy to say this, but man, T-Law has not been living up to what we totally thought he should be. Man, Stroud, he's just come on strong. Like he looks really good on this team. And like I said, he's getting Dell back this week, so he's full strength. I think I'm going with Stroud here.
I'm good with Stroud too.
So there you go, Corey. CJ Stroud over Trevor Lawrence. I never thought I would say it.
It's hard. But
it's being said. So CJ Stroud over T-Law. Coach Craig, Foreman, Henderson, or Hunt as my RB2 this week. That is a toughie. I can tell you where
Chicago playing. Are they playing Green Bay?
So they get Roshan back this week. I still think I like Foreman. He might be the guy who gets the red zone touchdowns, or if they're close to he's so strong. If you look at him on the goal line, man, he's not just like falling in, dude. He's like pushing his way in, breaking tackles.
Any chance you can package those three and trade them for a real running back?
I mean, it's possible
to say, but I think I just like Foreman for the touchdown upside.
Yeah, but I think Henderson will get the touches.
I think I go with Henderson on this one as well. I worry that with Foreman, the Chargers might put it on the Bears, and then Foreman's not going to get much work, right? Like
if it's a lot of passing, it's probably going to be Roshan if he's healthy.
Yeah.
If it's a lot of passing,
I like Henderson here.
But these guys are all temporary starters for you.
For sure.
So if you can package them maybe with a mid-tier wide receiver and get, Tajay or a running back that's starting for his team, even a Chuba would be better, I would think, than these three.
I will say, Greg, that's a good point. Like at this point in the season, you got to start looking at potential trades. You're coming up against the trade deadline. You're going to run out of time. So, players like this, you're thinking about who to start this week. other teams are also thinking about. And we got bye weeks coming, and they're like trying to fill holes. And so easily these three could be packaged, or two of them could be packaged together and sent out, and you get like somebody maybe that's underperforming that, I saw Eckler get traded today, and I was for like nothing, and I was like, wow,
people have given up on him. Yeah, people
Yeah.
have given up. And if you get somebody to give up on Austin Eckler, you can get somebody to give up on anybody.
Yeah. So for me, I will say this. If I can't believe I'm going to say it. If Ford is out, I really like Hunt. And I've talked about it all season. The Cleveland Browns can run the football. It doesn't matter who is running the football. The Cleveland Browns can run the football. And if they're going to get it done on offense, it's going to be running the football. Every single.
Pierre looks strong.
Right. Pierre Strong looks strong. Why? Because he's running behind Cleveland's offensive line, which is a good run blocking offensive line.
It is. No, I agree with you. I just don't think the Cleveland coaching staff is enamored with Kareem Hunt. I like Hunt. I really do. I think he's probably the most talented back on that team.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have to be enamored with him.
They got to play him.
The reality is, in the last 2 weeks, he's had a touchdown every week. Since the bye week, Kareem Hunt's had a touchdown every week, and last week he had 2.
Okay.
And he also has played with the team before. So,
So you're going with Hunt. I'm going with Henderson. Zach, you sticking with Henderson or changing?
Yeah, I'm sticking with Henderson.
And JC?
Going
for me.
JC's doing for me. That's okay. Hey,
understand JC's a Minnesota fan.
I'm chasing the point.
Take it with a grain of salt.
Any running back, it can be, obviously, but it could be D'Ernest Johnson. It doesn't matter who it is running behind Cleveland. They're going to be effective, and they're always a big play from being, there. And apparently the Browns are going to prioritize getting Hunt the ball in the red zone. If you look at Ford's touchdowns, typically they're outside of that close line there. He's got a receiving touchdown, he has a long run. And so I like Hunt. I like Hunt for a touchdown.
You raised valid points, Tyler. You raised good points.
And here's a little caveat off of JC's Devonta Foreman go this week. So Wendy popped in and she said, would you start Roschon Johnson this week?
Only if I had to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. If you were forced to, I do worry that the Chargers might put it on him. Like Tyson might come back to earth as an undrafted.
I actually think if the Chargers put it on him, Roschon's a better play because I think they're going to use him in the passing game more.
He can block well and he can catch well.
And he's a good runner. Remember, before he got the concussion, he was the number 2 back, and a lot of us thought he should have been number 1 over Khalil.
Oh, yeah.
I took a lot of stock in Roschon this year. I still don't know that I'm confident in starting him this week. I kind of want to see how that plays out after a hot week for Foreman. But I like Roschon rest of season, and I find myself struggling with wanting to put him in the lineup because I know it's coming. Like I know the big Roschon week is coming, and I want to be there when it happens. But I also can't bench some of my guaranteed starters for a Roschon this week. If I'm up against the hole, I'm putting them in. If not, Wendy, I probably roll with what you got. I don't know.
Play him as a flex, Tyler? Would you play
what?
him as a flex over a wide receiver 4?
I don't know. It depends on how big the league is. A wide receiver 4. We're talking about Josh Downs territory or Rashee Rice territory, or even KJ Osborne territory, Josh Palmer. I'm starting Josh Palmer over him for 100%. So
would you start him over Jameson Williams?
Yes. Oh, Roschon?
Yeah.
That one hurts because they're kind of the same for me. They're kind of both. I'm waiting for them to pop off,
Yeah.
and like neither one of them are popping off. They're getting, Roshan gets opportunities when he's healthy, and we watched Foreman be benched when Roshan was healthy, like not even get snaps, period. But
Scratch.
coming off a big slash, most importantly, effective week, it's really hard to see that game script happen again.
100.
It's also convoluted. Coach Craig said Watson versus Vikings is it has the highest upside from the question earlier. I do believe Watson has a high upside. I just don't trust Love.
I don't trust Watson.
Well, it was week 9 last week where he had his massive first game. Christian Watson
Last year.
maybe against the Vikings. He has a week earlier because he's in, he's his second year, so he's just a week earlier.
Love has gotten the ball to Musgrave and he's gotten the ball to Dobbs. So
and he got it to Watson, but it's like 1 or 2 times for a bomb during the game.
Yeah.
That's what you're hoping for. You're hoping for a long bomb. And you did have the one red zone touchdown he threw Watson his first game back.
Okay.
But Love is really, like, as the season has progressed, he has gotten worse. So,
he is essentially a third-year rookie, basically. Yeah. He's a third-year rookie. He hasn't got enough experience yet.
I don't know, but if it was me, and I know Zach's twin, Josh, I believe maybe Josh traded away Love, right? In that deal?
Yes.
Yeah. So when Love got the big start, it was trade him away. Like for me, like that was a quick sell high.
Yeah.
I don't care about the Green Bay history of benching quarterbacks behind such and such to come in and be elite. You can hit on so many, but you don't hit on all of them. And I never thought Love was going to be that guy. And I mean, this year we've seen it. We haven't. It's been okay.
I think Love has been the perfect quarterback for Green Bay. I think
is that because
Fields has been a perfect quarterback for Chicago, and I despise Cousins in Minnesota. But then that's because I want Detroit to win the division.
I knew that was a bias. That was a biased narrative coming across there.
Yeah, it was.
By the way, if you're enjoying the show, like and subscribe. Go ahead, JC.
There's a little fun fact for the little Kirk Cousins talk here. By the way, the Vikings are now 2-0 since they started playing Creed before every game.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it clearly wasn't Cousins' fault. It was the music.
It's just that Scott Stapp, can you take me higher?
That's the song.
They're like, we're going higher. Hey, I will say we got a little bit of what we wanted from Kirk Cousins last week, and they were airing the ball out, and they were getting it to Jordan Addison, and it was everything that we were excited about with that huge start that he had. And so, I hope that they keep it up. I know you don't hope that they keep it up, Greg, but I like competitive.
Oh, I want them to beat Green Bay and Chicago, especially Green Bay.
Just not the Lions.
I think Green Bay is a much bigger threat to Detroit than Minnesota is.
Oh, yeah. No, huge shout out to that. Yeah. Kirk Cousins finally had a primetime game. Bless him. Finally.
So Z Money popping in. What do you guys think of my running back going forward for the season? 10-man PPR. So I guess this is running back opinions. He is 6-1. He's got Joe Mixon, ETN. He has Tajay on the bench, and it looks like Barkley scraping by. He's scraping by because of the he's barely scraping by because of the JJ injury.
So he's only got 3 running backs in a 10-team league.
Starters. If you can, I think right here I'm going to go protect my ETN and see if I can go out and get Bigsby, especially late in the season like this. If you can at least go get him, I think I might want to try to do that.
Yeah, I like that.
Big running back,
I might take JJ and try to trade him for JT, Jonathan Taylor. If you can get Jonathan Taylor, who's playing and starting to get a full role for JJ, I'm not sure JJ's coming back this year. If
It's
Minnesota loses a couple more games, they may decide to just keep him on the bench
I don't know
because
if they
why
can.
get him hurt? I
They
mean,
got
he's
Creed
that
now.
important to them. So if I could get, I think if you could have ETN and Jonathan Taylor, you don't need Joe Mixon. Mixon's doing nothing.
It's
And I'd
true.
probably start Spears over Mixon going forward. But if
Can we
you could
trade
get
Mixon and a
JT,
receiver?
if you could get JT for a guy that's going to miss at least 2 or 3 more weeks, I would go ahead and do it.
So if you
Yeah.
can trade, maybe I don't know if it would be possible, but if we think that JJ is coming back, do you think you could convince maybe the owner of Christian McCaffrey isn't doing as well?
No
Can you-
way.
No, nobody's giving McCaffrey for JJ.
You could probably get Eckler. You could probably get JT. You could probably pull Brees. You know,
Who would
and
you
I
rather
was
have,
thinking both
JT
Mixon
or those
and
others?
JJ in the deal.
Tyler, who would you rather have, JT or the others?
um,
I still like JT. I've been trying to trade for him.
I like Eckler, JT, Brees. That's my order.
Okay, so Eckler's done nothing. He's
Well,
been injured.
Eckler had an incredible game, his first game, and then he just got
Got
back
hurt.
off injury.
Right,
I
but
don't think
his
we've
last
seen
game
what
he did
Eckler's going to
nothing.
do. And
His
the
last
Chargers,
game he did nothing. Right?
fair enough. But the Chargers, they have not been playing from ahead, and when they don't play from ahead, it is a ton of dump offs to Eckler. And you know, I think it'll pick up. I don't think that what we've seen the last 2 weeks is the end all be all of what Eckler is going to be. And you know, I think that the Colts feel better about chunking the ball with Gardner Minshew, and so it's like a Derek Carr type thing where you're going to get 50 options to throw it, and I think JT picks up some of those down underneath targets. But the thing is, Minshew is so fast to get rid of the ball; it's usually not going to the running back; it's usually going to a wide receiver, and
which is where it's supposed to go to. But let's remember that this Indianapolis team made a star out of Zach Moss. I mean, an actual star out of Zach Moss. Do you really think Zach Moss is on par with Jonathan Taylor? I don't.
No, I don't, but I also don't think that they're just going to completely relinquish Moss from snap share.
I think Moss will drop down to about 25 to 30% snap share.
Well, I like Eckler to get 80% snap share.
He has not had 80% yet this year, my friend.
Well, yeah. Well, he also hasn't been healthy fully yet this year. I mean, I think he's still probably coming back from that. But
Eckler was the second running back drafted this year. He was RB2. He had a huge year last year. But let's remember, had JT not had his curse of 370 season last year, he would have been the first running back taken before CMC.
Well, I will say this. Let me throw this caveat out there real quickly, and then we'll move on to the next question. Eckler came out on his show, and he said, "You need to go get me on your fantasy team." On his show, and last year when he did that, he said he's like, "I'm going to be the top running back in fantasy," and he went out and did it. This year, I think the beginning of the year especially, there was all that running back and that contract dispute and that convolutedness that was there.
Missed training camp, right?
Yeah, and then now he's saying, "Hey, go get me. Put me on your fantasy teams," which I don't know.
Of course, he's not going to say, "You don't want me on your fantasy team," Tyler.
He did. He said, "Don't." At the beginning of the year, he told people not to draft him on his show.
He really did?
Really did.
That's amazing.
Because he didn't get to draft himself. That's why.
He did not draft himself.
Draft himself in his league. That's why.
What a hustler, dude. What an absolute hustler.
I'm liking the kid more and more, but I'm still a JT fan.
See, Kirk been better in prime the last. I agree. Kirk's been better. Mr. Grapefruit in here. Love the name, by the way. So 10-team PPR, Justin Fields, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and other roster quarterbacks are Donald and Purdy or Stroud and hold on, sorry. Other quarterbacks on the roster are Donald and Purdy.
I don't know what he's asking here.
Yeah, Justin Fields.
There's a continuation. I got Stroud and I think he traded. He said he got Stroud and Puka side with Herbert as his quarterback. So maybe he traded.
If the question's Justin Fields and Amon-Ra versus CJ Stroud and Puka, I like CJ Stroud and Puka.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's saying. He traded for CJ and Puka.
I like Herbert and Puka better than CJ and Puka.
True.
Oh yeah, so he's asking, what do we think of the 2-for-2 trade? So I think it's Stroud and Puka lead the way on that. Man, what a freaking to start Tyreek and Puka every week. Praise.
And you have Lamb too.
I mean, yeah, he's only got one mistake there. He's got Ridley ahead of Marquise and Lamb.
Well, I don't think that's the order.
Lamb should be 3.
But to be able to start every week, Tyreek, Puka, and then Lamb, and then one of the other guys in the flex, no telling who his running backs are, but really like the team, Mr. Grapefruit. Really like the team.
Yeah. Even in a 10-team league. You need to get yourself into a 12-team league so you got more competition.
Well, I feel like
you're killing it.
I feel like peeling layers on this team, looking at all the talent here, I would go like, what does this dude's running backs look like? Did we sacrifice? Because he's a talented everywhere else.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm
sure he's got CMC
good.
And JT.
Yeah, I mean,
oh man, dude, if that was the case, we are going to build a montage to Mr. Grapefruit in the show for being elite.
That's right.
In drafting or trading or whatever the heck he's doing. Okay, so we're gonna go back over to the network. He said he's got Pollard, Ramondre, Spears, and Foreman.
Well, Pollard and Spears and Ramondre in that order. Foreman is it's a 2-week play.
Man, it's wild it's wild we're saying that. Ramondre, like after Spears, Ramondre went 2nd or 3rd round in drafts.
I know, but he's losing a lot of touches.
No, that's just that's a high take for not that great value, and it happens all the time. I was not big on Ramondre. I've never been big on New England running backs.
Jameer went before David Montgomery.
Yeah. It's wild. So again, popping over to the network, wide receiver to start or sit, and this is a good one. Pickens or Ayuk?
Oh, I never said Ayuk. I like Pickens, but I never said Ayuk.
Especially if Debo's unhealthy.
Debo's not playing this week.
Well, can you look back at last week against a really great matchup against Minnesota and say the same thing about Debo or about Ayuk? 5 for 54.
I can say that. Look at JJ. I told you, JC, I told you there were 5 games last year that JJ should not have been in the starting lineup. The greatest receivers in the game have off days. And Ayuk had an off day. Do you think he's going to have 2 in a row? I don't.
Well, and I think when you look into it, I mean, it's still there. Like, we're missing like one big play or a touchdown from this being a totally different outlook. He had 98% snap count, 6 targets. He caught 5 of them. I just think we're missing something else, and it totally changes the score from last week. Yeah, I like Ayuk.
Pickens gets Jacksonville.
Oh, gosh. I like Pickens a lot.
I do too.
Deontay's back on the questionable list.
Nah, he's healthy.
Questionably healthy.
Questionably healthy.
Questionably if he's ever going to get a touchdown.
There's a questionable icon by his name. Man, Pickens has been nice. They're really starting to use him. I do struggle to start Pickens over Ayuk though, but I will say
Deontay is playing this week, by the way.
Who?
Deontay Johnson is playing.
Is Purdy playing?
He said he's playing. He's questionable on the injury report, but he has come out and said, I'm playing.
You definitely don't want Sam Darnold playing on Halloween weekend because the amount of ghosts that he would be seeing this weekend would be ridiculous.
I did see a wild photo where it said the discourse around the league if Purdy is out and Sam Darnold comes in and is good. Like, people are going to, he is only good in relief. You know, they're going to be freaking out.
Well, they say Kyle Shanahan can turn anybody into elite.
He does have a quarterback-friendly scheme. Yeah.
They said the same thing about Dabo.
Unless you're Trey Lance.
He was the quarterback whisperer.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know about old Dabo. But we're starting to get
but when he went to New York, the word was that he's the quarterback whisperer. It's why I drafted Daniel Jones in Scott Fishbowl. And I got to say, I got Tyrod Taylor as a backup, so it hasn't hurt me.
Well, we're going to throw one more question up from the network. If you are watching and you have any more you want to get in real fast, we're in the tail end of our show. Speaking of Ayuk and running back needy teams, the Bears wants to know, would you trade Ayuk for Gibbs?
God, that's hard for me.
So
this week, yes, for a 1 week play, but for the year, no.
What were you going to say, Zach?
It would be a 2 week play. I mean, Ayuk has a bye week after this week, so
does Detroit.
Oh.
For me, it's redraft or dynasty. Redraft, probably, yeah, I'm taking Ayuk. Dynasty, you go like, I don't know yet. Yes,
Dynasty, I go Gibbs.
Yeah. Yes for redraft for Ayuk. Dynasty Gibbs. I think that's probably where I lie to.
Good call, Jack.
Hey, awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in. We are rounding our show here at 10 o'clock from the forum. Your questions from the Fantasy Football Advice Network plus live on the air. Again, thank you for tuning in. Go to fantasyfootballadvice.com. And just you guys real quick, for anybody that's still tuned in, let them know where they can follow you, where they can find your stuff if they want to come check out some of the your content that you're putting out. Go ahead and start us off, JC.
All right, well, you can find me and Greg at the Sports Affiliation. Go check us out. I mean, we got the website, thesportsaffiliation.com. You check us out on YouTube. So many shows that we have that coming out on YouTube. Also, Greg's got an amazing show that comes out on Thursdays. We've been, hosting a lot of really, really great content creators, big time in the industry. It's been great. Thursday, the check down has been absolutely amazing. We love that show, Greg. And then, I mean, we got a lot of the watch parties going on, hanging out. We got stuff. The Thursdays are just packed with stuff. So a lot of stuff going on with the network as well. So it's just been a fun journey. Come hang out with us. That's all I gotta say.
Last night's watch party was amazing. We got 2 digs in that party. We had the digs
from number 14.
We had digs from Buffalo and digs from Tampa Bay. And I got to tell you should go back and listen to that watch party because the digs from Tampa Bay actually outscored the digs from Buffalo by a point. Anyway, yeah, I'm with JC at the Sports Affiliation. You can find me on Twitter at Gregory L. Kellogg, and you can find me on Facebook at Comments, KOMMENTS.
Hall of Famer.
I'm Zach. I'm the co-host of the 3-Man Bunk Bed podcast. Of course, it's a fantasy football podcast. You can find us on Spotify, on YouTube, and now under the network's YouTube banner. So we do a weekly show. It's brand new, so it's evolving rapidly. Like we're getting an intro video, and we're learning how to edit sounds and things like that. So like it's pretty drastically different from week to week, but it's fantasy football content from fans for fans. So check us out.
Yeah, I love it. At the beginning of the show, when he intros, everybody's like, "All right, we got this guy on the top bunk, we got this guy on the bottom bunk, and I'm on the floor. I'm in the middle." They're like literally assigning bunks in the. But no, it's a great show. It's fun. They're they like to have a good time. Have to check that out. Again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Go to fantasyfootballadvice.com. Sign up. You can ask your questions daily there. Everybody in here is a member on there. Everybody in here goes through and answers those questions and tries to give advice. So, you're not just getting it during the show. We're available to you, along with a ton of other great content creators and just people that love fantasy football, people that are, eating and sleeping this stuff, and so it's a great community, great people. The fantasy football community is a great community. Thank you all for tuning in again, and we will see you next week, 9 o'clock Central for From the Forum. Oh, what's up, Greg?
One last thing. Everybody that's listening, please say a quick prayer for Jim Day and his family.
Absolutely. See you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.